Hey everybody, welcome back to the second episode here of the Just Listen the First Time podcast. We're happy to be back with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are just excited. It was fun to see all the comments and people talking about our first episode. Just, people enjoyed listening to it for the most part, would you say? I don't know. Or some people told us we were
They're probably
bad.
Or they're lying.
Yeah.
Right.
Either way, I mean, I'll take it.
Right. And, that's just pretty cool that people actually listened, because we didn't know if this would be 4 people listening, and 3 of those are us, and one of those was my wife. Just because we forced her to listen to it.
And my husband.
Okay, so that'd be 5.
Yeah.
That would be
And
5.
Reggie and Rudy listen. But
Okay,
those are their
so
dogs.
there's that
Yeah.
too. So we would get ourselves up to 7 individuals, maybe not humans, but individuals. So it's just kind of cool that people actually listen, and we're just having a fun time together.
And hopefully they just listened the first time.
Yeah. Definitely don't listen twice. No, I'm just kidding. But we're glad that you're listening. Fun to have you back. So how are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's conference week, so I'm just like tired in general, but
Yeah. But
good.
the sun's
good.
out.
Sun's out. It was warm today.
Yeah.
Warm, it was
for Minnesota.
40. What did it get up to? 42?
Yeah, after we got,
Did it
6 inches of
really?
snow like 2 days ago?
42.
I don't know. It might have. Maybe that was just my car really hot. with
Yeah.
The sun beating
Yeah.
on it.
Well, if you're not listening in Minnesota, good for you.
Jealous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've got 6 more years of winter. So, anyways, we're going to get going into some questions. So Fletcher had put out like a poll on Instagram, or like a question on Instagram, and we got a bunch of questions from you guys, and so we're gonna talk about some of those. But I guess what we want to start out with is, why are you still here? Like, in the teaching profession, like what's keeping you here? And even not even just in teaching, but like in the area that we work, what's keeping you guys here?
I'm gonna answer that in one word. People.
I like it.
There it is.
There aren't
The-
people anywhere else. We're the only people.
Yeah.
No, the people.
Tell us more.
Okay, so the people you work with, it's the people that you surround yourself with, and I would say that that's what's keeping me here for sure. Especially, I mean, my husband works in a different town, so I mean, we potentially could have moved, and I didn't because of the people.
No, I actually completely agree. When I moved here, I thought it was going to be temporary. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that. I was planning on moving like back to Fargo.
haven't.
I just wanted to like get a little closer to
I think
home.
you've told me that before.
Oh.
And I didn't think I would buy a house and like live here. But once I started, I couldn't leave the people I worked with and friends I made. So
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I know in episode 1, I mentioned that relationships are the biggest thing in the reason why I do this job, And so, and I think I also mentioned in that first episode that I came into teaching being like, is this really what I want to do? I'll give it a year and we'll see. And then, working with Casey, as well as, a couple of other coworkers of ours that we still work with, or at least one of them we still work with, but it was them that kept me here. It was like, man, this is a fun team to be on. So yeah, absolutely. And then we've gotten to know lots of, families that are fantastic, and those keep you around. And,
Right. In the community.
community.
Yeah.
We live in a pretty awesome place too.
We do.
So,
I'm pretty fortunate.
yep. So, since we're talking about why we're still here, what made you guys choose our town as the first, in the first place? What made you come here to this? Like, was it just the job, or was it other stuff, or tell me what you think.
I mean, I interviewed in several different places, and I have my sister lives here, so that was a big drawing point
for sure.
But also, when I interviewed here, I felt like the people who interviewed me were really actually trying to get to know who I was as a person versus, I mean, they wanted to know what I knew and everything too, but also they wanted to know who I was as a person and if I was going to kind of blend or fit. But the real kicker was when the principal at the time said, hey, I want you to go tour the school. Did you guys tour the school?
Like
beforehand.
during the school year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like May maybe or something, or
Yeah.
April.
So like
I
during a
did.
school day?
Yeah. He said just go tour it, just walk in and tell the secretary to go. It was a little awkward. I do remember that. But I walked into the building, and the building is nothing to write home about. It was kind of old. I'm actually very old.
It's been updated
It's been
since then,
updated.
which is good. But
Yes, it looks way better now. But first impressions on that building was kind of like, ugh. But I could just tell like the people there working, even working with the kids, and it was just a place that I wanted to surround myself with those people. But even the people who interviewed me, because I had to go through kind of a rigorous interview thing. I had to go through like 5 different interviews.
I know it was the same for me. And you've got a different interview story a little bit, right?
Tiny bit.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to even people who work there still, and I remember being like, these are good people. I want to be with around these people.
Yeah, and people we go to happy hour with.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, which is
Multiple
awesome.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
Well,
Yeah.
A week
Yeah.
or a day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's a little much.
Yeah.
But no, it's great people.
Yeah.
For sure.
I actually, I taught in a small town in North Dakota for 2 years. In my second year, I just kind of was ready to get closer to home, a little bit bigger district, because I was in a tiny district. And I had interviewed at 2 other places. I did not get offered jobs, and I was done. I was not going to apply anywhere else. I was going to stay 1 more year. And then my friend Katie from college texted in our teacher group chat, and she was like, hiring, not sure if anyone's interested in going into Minnesota, because I was trying to get closer to Fargo. And I was like, I didn't even think to look in Minnesota because I didn't have my license. So I applied, got an interview, texted Katie, said, hey, I got an interview. She's like, crap, I didn't finish my application. So she submitted hers late. Long story short, I ended up getting, my first round was 2 different rooms. And then my second interview, I had people listening, don't know these people probably, but Zunick and Hannon, and they were just, again, cared more about me. They they went through the typical questions, want to make sure I was competent, but then they're like, so what do you like to do for fun? And they walked around the school, and Zunick was like, so do you surf? Do you fish? What do you do? We like to do this. And I just was like, man.
Yeah. Get to know you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not like a product.
And then
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
You said he asked you if you like to surf.
surf.
wake
Wake
surfing.
surf.
Yes,
I just wanted to clarify that. I figured,
sorry,
but
yes.
I was like,
Sorry.
people are going to be saying,
I always forget.
Minnesota, you're
I always
surfing?
forget what people don't know. So, because I think I said I like to go out on the lake, so he was
Sure.
asking further.
Yep.
What do you like to
I
do?
just wanted to clarify that.
And
I knew what you were saying. but I
And
just
also at
wanted
that
to-
point, I'm not hired. I can't say I just like to go have a drink and go around the lake, So I was like, trying to think of activities. But anyways, that's I'm like, man, they seem awesome, and they were going to be my team if I got offered the job. And then, my stomach's
So
making
these
noises.
these are 5th grade teachers at our school who still work there.
Yeah.
So 8
fantastic
years later.
people, some of the best teachers
Yeah.
I've ever
Shout
met.
out to
Awesome
you guys.
people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Team 5, they welcomed me with open arms, and
they
then
did.
I remember when I came to get my keys or something, it was the last in-service day. There wasn't students, so I didn't get that part. But I went down, and they were like, you guys were going to have your end of the year party, and they're telling me how much fun it was, and they're like, you should stay tonight. And I was like, well, I can't, but also I was like, oh, I don't know you guys, and now I know how much fun it would have been.
Right.
But it just didn't seem, it was welcoming, inviting,
Yeah,
fun,
welcoming.
more
I
than
think
just a
that's-
job,
yes.
which,
For sure.
it is a job, but
But it's like a culture, a family.
exactly, it is.
Yep. Absolutely. And my story is a little interesting. I actually never did finish my application, and I ended up interviewing in 3 places, including here. And the other 2 were just the interview process was really awkward. And it felt for me, it just wasn't. It didn't match.
Yeah.
And I didn't get offered those positions, which I'm happy about because at the time, my then girlfriend, now wife, was in grad school, and I wanted to be closer to her, which is 2 hours away from here. So not too far, but I wanted to be closer.
Yeah.
And so our town wasn't on my radar. I went to this job fair, and this booth was interview experience. I was like, okay, this will be good for me to just interview. And then I came here and I had that kind of rigorous interview process where it was like room to room to room, people grilling you kind of with those questions. But then when we met the principal at the time, he was like, hey, so what do you like to do? Do you like to fish? Do you like to golf?
Do you like to surf?
Yeah, surf. Yeah, do you like surfing? So I was like, hey, this is more my vibe.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yep.
what do you know, like we've got all these great golf courses around, like, and I'm like, yeah, that's sweet. And I felt super comfortable. And then he took me in a drive around town for 2.5 hours.
Which is
I saw the entire town, and it was it was great. It wasn't awkward. He was just telling me about everything. We went around the lake, I think maybe twice, and it was so
it's just
it was
unconventional,
like,
but
who, nobody really does that.
Who does
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and so
That was cool.
and then another coworker of ours, him and I knew each other growing up. We went to the same elementary school, and he was 5 years older, but our families knew each other. And so he actually said, like, hey, when you're done with your interview, because he knew I was interviewing, when you're done, come down to my classroom, and then you can hang out with us. So I actually hung out in his room for probably 2 hours. Just it was a full day adventure.
Yeah.
Interview
that
process, drive
Yeah.
around town, go hang out in his room. So but yeah, it was cool to see, and he walked me around during his prep and that sort of thing.
Side note.
Yeah.
Did you know that I got a speeding ticket on my way to my second interview here?
Whoa,
No,
no,
I
like
didn't.
that.
Yeah.
worth it, I guess.
know.
They got here.
Well, but then that also says, like, I got here, did the interview thing, and it just, I don't know. You forgot about the speeding ticket because, I don't know.
You
It was
just felt
enjoyable.
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. comfortable.
My second interview was on a Saturday, and I remember
Really?
the principal was like, "Hey, it's a Saturday, just dress casual, like it's fine." And obviously, like you're interviewing, so you're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
but also
So you wore a baggy sweatshirt and sweatpants.
I
wore
wore
a
a
suit
suit,
and
but I
tux.
didn't have my own, so I was always borrowing my friend's clothes, and it was too short. So like the whole time I was like trying to keep my arms up, because if I put my arms straight, it was like mid forearm. So I was like walking
Okay.
around like this, and
You
then they
wore
show.
a suit.
I did.
That's
And,
impressive.
and
That is
they came, like, obviously they were like in like cargo shorts, and like Kelly came straight from the dock, and I'm just like, okay, I really could have dressed casual, but I didn't.
That's hilarious.
So I kind of just remembered that when
I
you said the
wonder what
speeding
they
ticket.
thought when
They're
you
probably
said
they probably saw, they're like, oh, actually
this
let's
suit and
actually
tie
maybe
guy.
let's not
We
hire
don't
him.
want him on our team.
Looks a little too.
That's
Yeah.
Or maybe it was kind of like Jim on The Office when he was trying to dress fancy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Never
Mind. Forget it.
Moving
on.
Moving
I
on.
do like The Office, but
yeah, I love that. I mean, we could go on a tangent about The Office. I was about to, but I'm gonna keep us.
Yeah, we
I'm gonna
probably
keep us
should.
going.
maybe
Okay.
we should go like school culture, like what makes our school great.
Well,
yeah. Tell me about it. I want to hear. Who wants to go first?
We already said like the people. That is huge. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to like the people that you work with. I also think we do a really good job of just recognizing good positive things both in staff and students, and it's just like kind of an uplifting, encouraging environment to be in.
Mm-hmm. Or like if someone does something cool or something different than you do, they're not like, I just don't feel like people.
They're not competing.
Yeah, the competition.
You're like, wow, that's cool.
Hey, that's really cool. I'm so awesome. You're doing
Right.
that's so awesome. You're doing that with those kids.
And even sometimes then too, like, hey, I want to try that out, and it's sharing. Let's try
Yes.
it. And I've noticed too, like Casey, you do some awesome plays, and I kind of was like, I want to do that too. And then I was like inspired by you, but then after you explained it to me, I was like, I can't do that. And I was
Yeah.
like,
But
I
there's a
love
lot of things you do that I can't do.
And then I was like, I love that you do it, and that's the best part
Yep.
is, and that's how it is. But
Yep.
so cool for your class, and we all have our own experiences. So I think that's one too. It's just not a competitive
Yes.
place.
Yeah,
That makes a big difference.
I think one thing for me that really helped was being encouraged to be myself and do what I thought was fun, or like not just everything being cookie cutter. You have to follow this strict plan or that sort of thing. Like encouraging you to bring your own spin on things. And I know not every place does that, but we were
Right.
like, hey, like you be you,
Yeah.
go do that.
Yep.
And so like encouraged to bring your own passions into it. And whether the kids are passionate about the same things or not, if you show that you're passionate, that's gonna bring
And
that in too.
and it's not to say that we're not teaching the same things. You know, like
Right,
we're
yeah,
on the
right.
same
It's
grade
just
level.
a different thing. So like you do your plays, not my thing because I just that's just
Too
not.
much. It's too much prep and
But-
planning.
I
And,
bet you'd
yeah.
be really
Well,
good at it, Mark.
I mean, yeah, well, you know, it's just it's not a passion of
Yeah.
mine. We'll
All
just
right.
say that, but we still teach the same content, just in different ways, and I know that happens all over the place too. But I do know just from hearing and seeing things that that's not true everywhere. You know,
Right.
and
Very
so
some micromanaged. And,
yes,
Yeah.
and so being encouraged to really like step outside of the box and fail
Yes.
and learn from it and try again or make changes and that sort of thing.
I also think like we've had, I know you guys have had 3 principals now.
Yeah.
I've had 2. All of them have been super trusting of us, and I didn't have that at my first school. Like, if I took my kids outside, it was like, oh, could have been doing
What's he
this
doing
type
with
thing.
that? Yeah.
Where now it's like, if I need an extra break or they do, I've never once been questioned. Like, why were you out there? Why are you on the playground?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember my first year, we got an email saying, hey, it's 40 degrees. Everyone, you guys should take your class outside or at least take them for a walk around the block. It's a great day to get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And I took a
Right.
screenshot and sent to my old coworkers. I'm like, this is different.
Yes. Yeah.
Like realizing, hey, kids need to have fun.
Yeah.
We need to get outside. They need to get outside. Just that type of thing. Like, and they trust you to get your job done and to make choices that.
But I think they understand too that like happy people create, you know, if you're like happy teachers or even happy kids, like if everyone's happy, it's a great environment and everyone's just going to flourish from there. It just only makes sense.
Yeah. And like, not saying we don't have our stressful moments
Oh,
because
God,
they,
yeah.
you're going to get that
No, we
everywhere.
do. Yeah,
But
we're kind of
overall,
making it,
like
yeah.
we have a positive environment for
Yeah,
our
we do.
teachers, which makes it great for our students.
Yes.
Yep.
Agreed.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break now for you to hear from our sponsor. Yeah, I'm just kidding. We don't have a sponsor, but if you would like to sponsor us, feel free to reach out to @thirdgradeswag on Instagram or wherever else you can find him. I'm just kidding. We're
Surfing.
yeah,
Wherever else
you
is
might
not,
be busy
you know?
surfing, but we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. But here, as we move into our next question, what do you guys? What do you think could boost morale in a building? And I know you put this out on Instagram as well, Fletcher, and so we've got a lot of answers that we can share from that. But anything that you guys like pops into your head first before we kind of go through a list of a lot of things that people said?
Well, yes. Go Casey.
Thanks for raising your hand,
you're
Casey. For those of you not watching on YouTube, she raised her hand.
Yes. It's very effective. I think just checking in on one another and just seeing like, hey, how's it going? Or like if, you know, our April.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Our coworker.
So April, which is
She's-
super funny. Can I interject
Okay,
just
yes.
quick before this?
Okay.
We all have shirts that say, "What would Mrs. Sunram do?" Because that's who she is, and then hers just says Mrs. Sunram because we go to her with every question.
And
She's
it's so funny when she
amazing.
wears that on
She-
days with no other context. So it's just her,
Right.
Mrs. Sunram.
Right. Well, at least the kids won't forget her name.
Yep.
Well,
But
I
no,
was
it's
just,
keep going.
yeah, so I was just going to say that she does such a great job at checking in. And she, if I say, oh, God, I have a headache or something, she'll come later and be like, how you feeling? You know? And I never really realized that I didn't do that until probably a long time. And I started realizing, God, I should really do that because that's super nice.
It is.
And it's really, it makes you feel cared for and valued. And I don't know. I just think that's one of the things that pops in my head. And also laughing.
Agreed.
For sure.
We kind of are in this because it's been just overall teaching's been really, really hard the last 3 years. I mean, it's
Yeah.
always been hard, but extremely hard.
Yeah.
So we've kind of have noticed that like people are getting into slumps. So we talked about what are ways we could do. So at our school, some things that we're going to try out is Friday before school is like, hey, somebody volunteer, bring in donuts, have your coffee, hang out before school. Because
Yeah.
we otherwise you get locked in your room and you just don't see each other.
Right.
So I think finding time and ways to see each other school wide, just to talk and check. I mean, be able to check in like, hey, how are your kids? How's this? How's your
Mm-hmm.
house that and you're no longer living in your camper that's finished? Like those types of updates from people, just being able to see them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just naturally kind of lost that, especially because of COVID, where we weren't able to go and do those things, and you couldn't
Right.
be in each other's classrooms,
you were
just hanging out, And so, or if you were across the entire room wearing masks, and then it's like, well, what's the point of that? I'll just kind of hang out. So you just missed that, and you don't realize how much you miss it until you're like, I need something to pick me back up. And I miss these people,
And it's also hard because that was our routine. We became to know, stay in your room, and it's hard to like break that. Then like that's just was our habit. So it's been
built that.
yeah. So I'm excited for that. Like that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
that
set
is
I'm gonna
tomorrow.
have to set my alarm to. I'm gonna have to get there earlier, but I want to see people.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, because we're recording on a Thursday. Don't
Yeah.
know when you're listening, but
Yeah.
this is a Thursday, and tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
which TGIF always.
Yeah.
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 One thing that I just really love is when we do activities, whether it's like years ago we had a Phi Ed teacher who would set up the volleyball nets and
fun.
we'd play
Yeah.
beach ball volleyball. And so obviously the beach ball can float around and you like get a little competitive, but you're also just like having fun, and anybody who can make
Laughing.
it can come. Yeah. Laughing, doing funny stuff,
Laughing.
trying really hard and running into walls or that sort of thing. But it's just a blast. And I know we've talked about even like sometimes maybe doing like spike ball. That's a fun one. Or
Yes.
just some sort of other activity. Or we do like, if it's nice out, some people go and play pickleball or, just do stuff that's interacting with each other that's not about school at all.
Right.
And our STEAM teacher Bree brought this one up to me the other day. She's like, we had a in-service day at the end of the year. Remember when we did like the goose chase, that app?
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
it's an
That
app, and it's a
was fun.
scavenger hunt, and you got
We
put on
went
this
around
team.
town.
We were around town just completing these challenges, and you have to have picture evidence. That was so fun.
That
It
was.
actually was really fun.
We should.
was.
We should.
I got
almost
my-
recommend to do that again.
We should. Hey,
We should.
Mrs. S, if you're listening.
Yeah.
I just said
Come
her.
and
I
ask
said
us
S
about
because I
it.
felt weird saying her last name. But anyways, yeah, I remember I got part of my stomach waxed.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember my thing is anytime I see a spiral staircase, I go, "Oh, that was one of the things on there." And we
Yeah.
had to go around town and find a spiral staircase and take a picture on it. So we were at like a house with a spiral staircase, and they're like, "What are you doing back here?" We just need a picture.
Can we take a
"All
picture on your
sounds
stairs?"
Good.
Yeah,
Like.
thanks.
But anytime I see a spiral staircase, I think of that, and that was super fun.
Yeah.
That
It
was,
super
fun. I forgot about that.
I did too until she brought that up.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Not even just for school culture, but also within your team and like getting along within your team. Like we'll play the online version of Codenames.
Yeah.
Like
Horsepace.com.
during maybe not during a PLC, but like when we're all pretty settled in and we've got a prep and we just need something, to kind of take our mind off of things and just have fun and laugh
We
together.
haven't done that in a while.
I know, but we have, and it was awesome,
Yeah.
and
That
we
was
will
fun.
do it again.
Some of my
As
favorite
PLC leader, I will make it happen.
There you go.
Yes.
And that
Put
I
it in
would
the
say,
agenda.
like, school culture is super important, but you have to have a good team. And
Yeah.
that was one, like, when we put it out there, like, hey, what things would you want us to talk about? Some people were like, what do you do if you have a really unsupportive team and you, like, I'm like, I don't know, because I've never had that. And it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
and
first of all, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
that
really is
really-
hard.
and that's where it's hard for me to know
You
what
just
to
feel
do because I
isolated.
haven't. And it's, I mean, I really feel, it makes me appreciate, like, how awesome every team I've been on has
Yeah,
been.
yeah, I
That's
feel
fun.
very fortunate for the same thing.
So,
Here-
like, what are things about our team? I don't know. Like,
We-
what should people look for in a team? What are things that you guys enjoy?
Yeah, team, staff, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the big ones that we saw on your question when you sent that out was happy hour.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Go
like
to
I
happy
would
hour
agree.
together. You just let loose. You vent. Have a beverage.
Yeah,
Maybe
And
even come up
enjoy.
with great ideas.
yeah.
For sure.
We've done that.
We've come up with
Okay.
great ideas, and we've used some of them, and we've never used others.
That is
Yes.
very true. I just want to so our school a few years ago, some of our kindergarten teachers started STEAM Club, and it's on Thursdays. It's happy hour, and you can go, and like some weeks there's 3 people, some weeks there's 10. But it was funny because that first year people thought that you had to bring lesson ideas, so they weren't going. Did you like?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lauren wasn't going because she's like, I don't have anything to share. I'm like, no, it was an acronym. It meant like social teachers something something. It was just a clever name.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I look forward to that day every week, because even if it's me and one other person, it's just time to hang out, talk, and have a beverage.
Yeah. And I know, like, early on in that, like, that was we went gung ho. We were there every week. Obviously, once I started to grow my family and have kids, it got harder to do that in football season and that sort of thing, but I still love going.
Yeah.
And even if I make it, once a month or whatever it is, like, it's still super uplifting, or just, like, just a great way to interact, especially with people who are in our building that we don't see all the time.
Right.
Because we're on one end of the building. Those kindergarten teachers who are great friends of ours are on the complete opposite end. You might cross the paths with them during the day once or 0 times.
Yep.
I bet I average 0.2 times a day I would see them, which is not very much.
That is not very much.
Yeah,
Some might say that's less than 1.
It is.
Yeah.
But even just getting to know other
numbers.
people too, not necessarily talking shop at happy hour, but just getting to know other people, and I don't know.
I mean,
like,
I'd agree. Like our art teacher, like that's where I'm able to like talk to her the most, because she's at 2 schools and stuff. It's great just to like.
Yeah. It's a good connection. Good times.
For sure.
So happy hour is a great thing to look for in a team. And another one that came up a lot too is just like being able to vent and talk without judgment.
Yes.
And yeah, just that's a big one, because I could come to you guys about anything, and some days you guys would just listen, and then if it's appropriate, you would like offer advice, and sometimes it's just like, let's just quit and move to Hawaii, but we can't afford that.
Yeah.
And then other times it's like a problem solving thing.
But it's always what you
all...
need, and it's never judging. It's never
no. Or like if we're
not...
all struggling through the same things, that's nice, and then you
problem solve
have
together.
that, and you can problem solve through it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And another big one that popped up was just the ability to communicate with each other. And that goes along with like having a supportive team, which was another one that, just like you're talking about no judgment, but the people who are there to help you, and you communicate when you're having a problem. Like I come to you guys all the time when I'm like, I'm tired. I'm like fed up with certain things.
Yep.
And you guys are just great listeners. And I think that's invaluable. Like there's no, you can't put a price on that. That's huge.
Yeah. And just going off that too, like I think because we are no longer a team, full
we
team.
still say we're a team, because once a team, always
a
That's
team.
right.
And I agree. Casey and I, since we've been
we're on the
looping
same
our
school team.
We are,
Yeah.
for
sure. But
grade level this year, like I'm in 4th, Casey's in 3rd, and
Right.
last year's opposite. But I think we're efficient. Like we get crap done, and then we can have fun.
Right.
We share, we collaborate, we are trying to do what's best for our kids and put our own twist on it. And again, like it's just not a competitive area. It's like sometimes even like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Here's the stuff if you want. If you don't want to do it,
Right.
that's fine. But I'm gonna try this out type thing.
But I think also too, we have like the same why.
Yeah.
We have the same kind of
philosophy.
Yeah, there it is. Philosophy. And our hows might be very different, but our we're in it for the same reasons.
Yeah.
And that's got to be aligned, I think.
Yeah. And then I mean, going off there too. I mean, I don't know. You just got to be able to, like Casey, when you laugh until like we've seen her cry so many times, and it's never because she's like sad. It's always like laughing to tears. So, like you have.
I haven't done that lately.
No,
you know what? And I can
it's
say
my
all the time, and it
favorite
might have only
thing.
happened twice, but it's 2 times, and that were so great that it feels like it happens every day.
We'll never forget. We'll never forget.
No.
But like the other part of that too is we're fine like being ourselves and being weird and silly and goofy and just like showing our dysfunctional selves, because none of us are fine.
No.
We're all super weird.
We are.
but like we know each other on that level because we've been able to be open about that, or just build the comfortability to show that side of ourselves.
And you know, and like we're coworkers, and I'm not saying like every single person, like it's not realistic to go be great friends with your team. Like it is a job at the end of the day. But if you can find time to, just like with our class, we take all this time at the beginning of the year building a community with your team. If you do that, like when we've gone golfing in the summer, that's so fun. And like we had our new teammate when we added a 5th section, like getting her out there, she gets to see us and gets to see us on a personal level and get to know us, and kind of you can see how we interact with each other. And I think that's a great way for her to feel comfortable, invited, trusted, safe. So, I mean, that's not realistic, but if you can do it, it's
right.
Yeah,
and
it isn't always realistic for people. No.
And not everybody in our building is able to go and do those things on like a weekly basis, but you know, we have a staff get together at the end of the year around holiday time, and a lot of our staff shows up to that, even if it's just for a half hour or you're staying the whole time. You just get to see people outside of work, and so you get to build those relationships that are stronger than just work relationships.
And then when you stop and have that small talk in the hallway, it's meaningful. Like people actually care about hearing updates on you and what you've been doing.
I agree.
So, any other reasons we want to share that were maybe shared with us? I mean, I can just read off of a list here, you know, and it's good.
Yeah.
But you talk about things other than school. That's we touched on that, you know, as far as being.
And I think you need that, like especially with everything going on, like you need a mental break.
For sure.
We spend our whole days interacting with kids, and then you can't spend every waking moment just thinking about school and curriculum. Like we need that time to talk about other things, just to.
And sometimes I just need to get out of my classroom.
Yeah.
I can't even count the number of preps. If Mrs. S, if you're listening to this, sorry, but the number of preps we've had, and actually she would be on board with this, where we've just gone to one of each other's rooms and just talked the whole time. Because obviously we're trusted to have our stuff done and our ducks in a row. So like if you've got stuff to do, you're gonna work on stuff. But sometimes your mental health needs to come first, and you might just need to vent. You might just need to go and talk to somebody else instead of sitting in your room by yourself. You know, so
especially with a job that's never done, so it's like you can sit in there and try to do stuff, or you could go laugh.
Go laugh with each other.
Right.
Way more fun.
Then you just feel energized, which actually gives you more energy to do the stuff that you need to do, or try something new, or put in the extra effort to build this elaborate lesson or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I heard this phrase only once. You can't pour from an empty bowl.
I believe it's glass or a pitcher.
A glass could cut you.
Kind of weird.
It could cut you. I don't think it's glass. Maybe a cup.
So
sure, empty cup.
When you heard this that one time, did it come from you?
Was it your
own quote?
Man, I am brilliant.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And that's what we love about you. You're the idea man.
I want to go off of that though, because that is actually very true though. Because when like surrounding yourself with just good energy, for me at least, that gets my brain thinking and creativeness happening. But when you're just in a funk and sitting there, and I
agree.
don't know. Like I probably bug you guys probably the most.
It's never bugs me.
It's
always
to get out of my room and go
never
like talk
bugs me.
to somebody.
Yeah, I'm
other
always
than
thankful.
a child. So
I just talking about all this, like again, we're very lucky to have this.
we
So like
are.
people who aren't, if people who are listening, don't have this, or are new teachers looking. If I was interviewing, I think now, I never did, but I would ask the school, like, what do you do to build a positive school culture? And
because interviews ask that, like, well, at least the ones I've been a part of, you know, and maybe you guys can attest to this too, but they ask like at the end, like, what questions do you have?
Right.
And I always had none.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, you're kind of amped up from this interview, and you're just like kind of sitting on pins and needles and just trying to impress somebody to hire you. But yeah, so that is a great question.
And it would be very hard if the culture's not great for the whoever's interviewing you to lie or like
Yeah.
to be false. Because
Yep.
I think we would all light up and be like, we do this and we get like
Yeah.
we have done that
Yeah.
when people or like prospective teachers have come around, and we've been asked those questions, and we do say like, we love this, we like this is what we love about it, or
Right.
so
Or go tour the school.
go tour the school.
Or go
tour it.
Drive around with the principal.
Yep. Don't just get into their car. Make sure you're invited
Yeah,
in.
maybe.
Follow them to the parking lot and jump in.
Yeah. That's frowned upon, I'm sure.
That's what I'm
But-
saying.
Probably.
Like,
That's funny.
yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
funny.
for sure.
So
Anything else you guys would like to add here?
no, I just think the people you work with is a big part of this job.
Yeah, it is.
And-
Oh, I do have one thing to
All
add.
right.
Oh,
So another thing is, if you are interviewing somewhere, not only are they trying to see if you're the right fit for them, it's got to be the right fit for you.
Correct.
Like that's, and I know we just kind of talked about that too earlier on, but I knew that the first two districts I interviewed in were not for me. Like you're
Same.
gonna live there or close to there, and you're gonna spend a ton of time there. It's got to be where you want to be.
Yep.
You know.
And it's, I mean, right away, you kind of got to get experience too. So sometimes those first years can be tough and a little desperation mode. But I mean, you got to make sure you enjoy it and the people
yeah.
Yep.
and that you trust them.
Trust. I was going to bring that up earlier.
Trust.
The
That's
a good-
trust.
it's a big
That's
word.
a big one.
Yeah.
Like you got to trust.
I think everything's built off of trust.
Yeah.
And they say one lie can wreck 1,000 truths.
Well, I think that's true. Maybe.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Because if I was lying, I would have just wrecked that
You totally
wall. And I'm not going to risk ruining this truth wall I have
I
with
thought you said rack 1,000 truths right away, and so
I think I was trying to
so
figure
then
out
I
what
had to put it together.
I think
and
I was trying to
believe
figure out
it's
what I
rack,
was
but
saying.
Sure.
It was from one of our PVIS things. It was Mr. Elton's class. And it was a very, remember he built it up and then they
Yeah.
pulled it out?
Oh, yeah.
And it was
Yeah, and it all fell down.
fantastic, but I couldn't remember. I think it was only 100, but I said 1,000.
Well, either way.
I mean,
it
yeah,
can.
either way.
It wrecks
Either way.
everything.
999 truths. We'll go
So
with
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Trust him.
Anyways, well,
Okay.
this is what it's like to work with us.
yeah, exactly. But we appreciate you listening to the podcast. This is episode 2 of Just Listen the First Time. If you ever have any questions or you want to reach out with anything, we always say go to Fletcher's stuff, because he's
Yep.
super avid on the social media.
Come on
and
over.
So that's at Third Grade Swag, or is it, or an underscore?
There
at the
is an
beginning?
underscore.
At underscore Third Grade Swag. But
Got it.
we really do appreciate you listening to this, and we really do wish we had a sponsor. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, we really do appreciate it. It's kind of cool to see that people listen to us babble on about our experiences, and
it's good for us.
it's good for us too. It helps us
Yeah.
put our thoughts in a row too.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah.
appreciate you listening, and we hope to see you next time on episode 3 of Just Listen the First Time. Sorry, stumbled over that.
Just listen the first time.
JLFT, we call it.
Yep.
See you later.
All right. See you later.
Bye.